Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. It's just Marco here once again. I'm not feeling as well today. Yesterday it was really weird because I was on my feet like all day and I felt okay. I felt like I've been feeling a lot better than last month, but still just improving slowly. And then in the evening, I cooked for a couple of hours. I cooked Sammy Davis Jr.'s spaghetti and meatballs. The spaghetti itself was really, really rich and sugary. I did not really like the sauce because a lot of it was tomato paste flavor, and that's what it tasted like. It just tasted like paste, pretty much. But the meatballs were really, really good. I mean, they weren't as good as Swedish meatballs, but they were really, really good. And so I would recommend making, the typical spaghetti sauce and then just making his meatballs. And just don't make the spaghetti. I had to grate onions and green pepper, and I cut my fingers because I had to get down to the bottoms of them, and it was a pain. I had to grate 3 onions, large onions. And then, around dinner time, it was really weird because I started to get a stomach ache, and then I had food poisoning, and I think it was from at lunchtime when I had this canned chicken soup, and I think it gave me some food poisoning. And then I had a blood pressure attack in the middle of eating dinner, I guess triggered from having food poisoning, and so that was terrible too. And then it's led into kind of feeling crappy today. So I hope that by tomorrow I feel a bit better, and the effect from the food poisoning goes away. The really weird part is that after dinner and everything, and it was close to bedtime, I measured my blood pressure, and it said it was a much better pressure. It said it was 128/76 or something. And it hasn't been that low for, who knows how long. And so it was weird how it just shows how, unstable it is, and how, I guess the food poisoning did something. It was really, really weird. So that was crappy. But overall, I would give Sammy Davis Jr. spaghetti a C+. If I was forced to eat it, I would eat it, but I would probably want to drink a gallon of water, because each bite it's you're eating concrete flavored like spaghetti, and you gotta wash it down as good as you can. And so the announcement is that I think that, tomorrow is laundry day, and if I'm not feeling better than today, tomorrow, then we might push back doing the White House Plumbers video to Wednesday. But if I am feeling better tomorrow, then we will be doing that video. And I am doing a video today simply because I am feeling a little bit better than I did this morning, so hopefully that continues, because it's irritating. So I am here to talk about the top worst modern actors and actresses. This was a really fun topic for me because it just gives me a chance to talk shit, which is really fun. That's really the most fun you can have making a video sometimes, is just talking lots of shit and just having fun. But make this clear, I don't have any ill will towards these people. I don't have any sort of negative feelings towards them personally. I'm talking just about their acting and about how they've affected Hollywood. Because the sad reality is a big reason why Hollywood is trash now is because of magical hat casting. This is why I don't really take these casting websites very seriously, because they hold independent filmmakers to a higher standard than studios do. And what I mean by that is, studios nowadays, they do this thing called magical hat casting, where they have all these agencies give them these names, and they put them in a hat, and they shake the hat, and then they pull out a name, and they say, oh, that's who's going to be in next movie. Like, oh, there's that new movie coming out. Guess who's going to be in it? These same 5 people over and over and over again. Like, that's what they do now. And it's a big problem. It's not like casting is actually about talent anymore. It's like it's about magical hat casting. Just pick one of 10 names, and that's who you get. Another problem is that these actors set examples for younger actors. Younger actors in terms of ones who are just starting out. So, the ones that I work with. And it is very telling. Like, it is very, very telling. You can definitely sense that, like, to me, I think that all the actors from the olden days, they're people who don't, the types of people, they don't like acting anymore. They don't act in modern Hollywood. And all the people who wouldn't have wanted to act back then, they're the ones who want to act in movies now. And so that's why we see this kind of shitty assortment of pieces of trash actors, is because they're people who they really don't want to act. Like, they're just there to be activists and do other things like that, or for themselves, or for whatever. They're not really there to act. And you see that a lot, So, I think about 30 names, and Safi contributed one, just saying, Channing Tatum, this guy is like the equivalent of a generic crunchy breadstick of an actor. He really can't act very well at all. And his best role is in a movie where he's outshadowed by both other main actors, and that is Foxcatcher, where he essentially plays himself for the millionth time. And he's so boring, he's so dull. And then he has like a production company, I think, and he said this stupid thing about how he wants to buy the rights to Ghost so that he can update it for modern audiences. Like, that is just the stupidest shit I've ever heard. The movie Ghost, with Demi Moore, Patrick Swayze, that movie, apparently, it needs to be updated, which a big red flag for any movie in general is if they say that they updated it for modern audiences. That's essentially a huge red flag. That means that you shouldn't watch it, because it means that they updated it for people who don't even watch movies. And it means that they ruined it and they trashed it, and it's not the same story. And then you have Robert Pattinson. This guy, he started off with Twilight, and Then he did some good movies, some, like a handful, and they were okay. He was okay. And then, supposedly, he was not going to be like Twilight and Batman. He was going to be like he was in these good roles. Well, that was a complete lie, and he played Twilight Batman. And I feel like that really cemented the fact that he's not very good. Speaking of Twilight, Kristen Stewart, she is just the most dull, crappy, she has the same face, the same tone. She's so boring. She's so lifeless. Ugh. And then you have Florence Pugh, which I have not really seen anything that she's done. But she is one of those actors that is magical hat casting. Another one like her, where I haven't really seen anything, but I don't like them, is Pete Davidson. This guy, he's just like a dweeb. He's just like a little dweeb. Like, I can't stand him. I don't understand his appeal at all. Like, he's just like, ugh. He's so like normal. You know, like, remember back in the olden Hollywood days where the actors, they seemed like larger than life characters. They seemed like people who, you know, they were really honest, decent people. Well, not anymore. You have people like Pete Davidson who just, he I don't know. I don't even know. And then you have Sandra Bullock. Never been a fan. I feel like she was okay in some movies, but she is one of the most overrated actors, period. And speaking of overrated, Meryl Streep. Oh, God. I mean, basically all she does now is fill a seat at the Oscar ceremony, which is basically like the equivalent of, I don't know, like being at a fucking parent-teacher conference for your child. Like, that's basically the Hollywood equivalent of a parent-teacher conference. And she's just so overrated because she used to be really, really good, but then at a certain point it just felt like they just cast her in everything, and then she won an award for every single role, no matter if there was someone else who was more deserving or not. And I don't know, I just feel like she has reached that point where it's like, where's the good Meryl Streep movies? Like, in fact, let's see, like, let's go to her IMDb. The magical place where we discovered that Marianne Cotillard was having problems too. And let's find out, what are the movies that she's made that are good nowadays? Because back in like the 70s through the 90s, she was pretty good. But in the 2000s to 2020s, not so much. And let's see. She was in a... Oh, God. Her last movie was Don't Look Up. Oh! Ugh. Okay, that oh, God. Just looking at these movies, Mary Poppins Returns. Oh! Mamma Mia 2. Oh! Oh, Little Women. Oh! We have a Winona Ryder Little Women. You don't need to watch the new one. Ew. Ew. Her most recent thing is that she was in one episode of a TV show for Hulu. Ew. Okay, so there you go. You see what I mean? Like, she's not really the same. And that's not even mentioning other things. And then you have The Rock. I can't stand him. I purposefully avoid anything that he is in because he just seems so full of himself. He seems so egotistical and fake. I know you're saying, well, what about Dave Bautista? I think Dave Bautista is a bad actor, but he's not really like an egomaniac like The Rock is. Like, I really don't like what The Rock did with Henry Cavill in DC, where we were teased like we were going to get Henry Cavill back. And The Rock, he wanted to make everything about him, and he ruined it all. I mean, he really did. Next up is Margot Robbie. She's someone who, she was okay in The Wolf of Wall Street. I mean, pretty much the big appeal is that she takes her clothes off in the movie. But after that, it seemed like she used her fame to fulfill her own personal agendas. And it seems like it all became about political agendas and not about, like, making good movies. And prime example would be Birds of Prey, Babylon. She's just the same in every single movie. She is just so, like, one-dimensional and fake. Oh yeah, Safi suggested her too. And her performance in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was really, really bad. And then Daisy Ridley. All we have to do is say Disney Star Wars. Next, Jennifer Lawrence. To me, she is one of the worst actresses in human history. She is an insult to the category of actress. She claims that she's like the first female action star. She's really full of herself. She's a huge piece of crap. There was that one cell phone incident where there was like a reporter with a disability, and Jennifer Lawrence started laughing at her and mocking her for using her cell phone or something. Like, it was really, really bad. And she has tons of moments like that where she just looks really, really bad. And her acting is terrible. Her movies are terrible. She ruined the X-Men series. I despise her. I won't watch her movies at all. And she was another person in Don't Look Up. Go figure. Next up is Melissa McCarthy. She's supposed to be a comedic actress, but she's never made me laugh, so. Next up is Seth Rogen. Now, Seth Rogen is another one where, he started off like pretty good, but then he did the Margot Robbie type of thing where nowadays it's like he uses his fame to push political agendas and make crappy, awful projects like Santa Inc. And he has turned out to be one of the worst actors in Hollywood. The Bud Light campaign with Amy Schumer too. Ugh. I mean, there you go. Definitely Seth Rogen. I mean, now too, all he does is basically sign up for projects and do his laugh. That's what he does now. Like, that's his acting. And he ruined the Green Hornet too. The Green Hornet had the potential to be a really good movie and a series. They could have made a whole movie series around pulp heroes, and he ruined that with his terrible, terrible Green Hornet movie. Next up is Will Smith. Will Smith has Independence Day, and that's about it. He is so bad. He is such a joke. He did that Aladdin remake, He did that thing at the Oscars. I mean, the list goes on. He's really, really bad. Totally overrated. Next up is Tessa Thompson. She is Valkyrie in the MCU, and that's enough said. Trash. Next up is Armie Hammer. Now, I did not like Armie Hammer before the cannibal stuff came out. You know, I used to say, you know, Armie Hammer's in it, I'm not watching it. I just think he's boring, dull, white bread, trash. Next up is Anne Hathaway. She's awful. Awful. Like, I can't think of... She doesn't even have any good movies anymore. What was the last movie that she did? That Witches remake with the token casting? Wasn't she in that? I can't even remember. Because I didn't even watch it. And then Kumail Nanjiani. Nanjiani. This guy started off on a pretty good note. You know, his debut movie, I believe, about his romance in real life was pretty good. And it was a good feel-good movie. But since then, it just feels like he's one of those actors who, you know, with that first movie, he put a lot of personal stuff into it. It was a personal story. And since then, it just feels like he's not an actor who's meant to be in these big projects and things with these fictional characters. It feels like he would be better just doing indie stuff and just doing, you know, more personal projects like his first movie. And next up, another one who I don't even watch their stuff, Lena Dunham. I've heard lots of things about her, and I don't like her one bit. Next up is Jonathan Majors. Again, I don't care about the allegations. I care about the acting, and his performance in Ant-Man 3 was bad. It was overacting, and I just can't stand, like, all this guy does is, like, stick his lips out and make a pouty face all the time. Like, it is just so obnoxious. It's so gay, and his acting is really not very good from what I've seen. And the thing with, I think the nail in the coffin was when there was this interview where I think maybe he was saying that him and Michael B. Jordan were going to be like Robert De Niro and Al Pacino. And to me, that just makes me, like, cringe. Because Michael B. Jordan, he's like a B-plus actor. He's pretty good. But to pretend like Jonathan Majors is on the level of Robert De Niro or Al Pacino is just laughable. And he hasn't even had, like, anything. Like, he's had, like, what? A couple of movies? Next up is Megan Fox. Ugh. 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 This is someone who, you know, another like Robert Pattinson type, where people pretend like, no, she's a really good actress. She did that one movie. She did that one thing. I do not think she's very good at all. I think she is trash. She's just there for her looks, and even that isn't very effective anymore because of all the personal stuff that you hear about her all the time. I mean, I don't want to hear these personal things. Like, this shouldn't be a factor in, you know, liking them in movies, but when you hear her talk about how she and her ex-boyfriend or whatever, they would suck each other's blood like once a year, it's like, ew. Sorry. Next up is Jaden Smith. Now, you know, he's one of those nepotism hires, like Jamie Lee Curtis, and he is just he's lifeless, he's boring, he's trash, he's a little twerp. He has nothing good about him at all as an actor. And next up on the same level, his mom, Jada Pinkett Smith. Wow. Terrible, trash. You know, she just came out with this Blackwashed History Cleopatra series. Her acting is like the equivalent of a piece of cardboard acting, like a piece of a Papa John's pizza box giving a performance. I mean, Gotham was okay as a show. Like, it was kind of like a fun bad show, but she and other things were like the worst parts of the show. And then, of course, she did the thing with the Oscars So White, which was stupid and BS, where she pretended like the Oscars were racist. And so that kind of led to these new awful inclusion rules for the Oscars, which is just an embarrassment to film history that they have those in place. And then Eva Mendes, she was not on the radar, but then she came out with this interview where she said that, like, she wants to act, but they just keep putting her in bad roles. And honestly, like, I can't stand, like, the entitlement nowadays with actors where they pretend like there is such a thing as a bad role. Because, you know, as Ginger Rogers said, there's no such thing as a small role, there's only a small actor. And Eva Mendes proves that she's a small actor, because she's like, no, I guess I'm not going to act because I can't get in the roles that I want to get in. And it's like, fuck off. Like, you have to earn that. You have to put in the work. You know, do some indie stuff. Do something like work with someone who hasn't even ever made a movie. And then, like, you know, maybe the script is really good and you'll get taken seriously for once. Because honestly, like, I can't remember a movie where you take her seriously. How could you? She's trash. I mean, did you see Children of the Corn 5? Did you see Hitch? Did you see the other guys where she's calling Will Ferrell grandpa or whatever? Role-playing with him? Oh, God, I forgot all about Will Ferrell. And next up is Will Ferrell. Oh, I despise Will Ferrell with a passion. I hate anything that he's in. It makes me so pissed off to just see a trailer with Will Ferrell in it nowadays, because in the mid-2000s, he was like the king of juvenile teenage comedy, like making all of us young kids laugh with his PG-13 or light R-rated trash comedies. But then there came a point where it was like, when is the joke gonna end? Like, you did this whole failure thing where you were the man-child, which I gotta say, like, out of all the film genres, the man-child film genre is probably one of the worst, because it's basically feminazi propaganda to make it out like, you know, like, look, this is what a lot of men are like, and you have to get married and settle down and have kids, and you have to conform. And it's like, fuck off. Like, you know, let's put the shoe on the other foot as well. Because nowadays, you know, if a woman says she doesn't want to get married and have kids, she's told she's really strong and independent and powerful. But if a man says the same thing, they call him a man-child. And they make movies like Will Ferrell movies where he, you know, he's just a complete loser. And that's not even mentioning the fact that he's a shithead in person, too. I can't tell you guys how many bad Will Smith encounter stories I've heard over the years of people saying, like, he won't look them in the eye. Like, they worked on his movie as an extra, and he didn't look at anyone in the eyes except for, like, the director and the actor. And he was just so cold and awful. And, like, I hate Will Ferrell so much. The fact that he's like that in person, like, ugh. Next up is John Leguizamo. This is a guy who just won't shut up. You know, like, he used to be pretty good. He did Spawn. He was a really good villain in Spawn, where he played a whitewashed, or I guess Latino-washed version of the clown from the Spawn comics, and he did such an amazing job in that movie. I would have given him the Oscar. But nowadays, he won't shut up about these stupid things. Like, he talked about how the Super Mario movie cast a white person as Luigi, so it's bad, you know, because he had played Luigi in the original movie. And it's like, just, there are some actors, and, you know, back then, they had one of the great things about the old Hollywood system is that actors had a morality clause in their contracts, and it meant that they had to shut up about personal politics and not be like John Leguizamo in public. If they brought back the morality clause, we would have a lot better actors, or a lot better of an opinion of actors. Because a lot of them, when they open their mouths, it's just clear that, like, they're people who need writers to tell them what to say. Because if they talk without writers, they just sound like the biggest idiots on the face of the earth. Next up is Mark Wahlberg. Oh. Ugh. Ugh. Everything he's in is just so similar, where he plays the same character over and over again. His reality show was cringe to the max level. You know, he had this reality show about his family life and work life. It was just so bad. It was so bad. And I was just like, you know, like, oh, I'd like to watch something fun. And I put it on, and I was just cringing and wanting to throw up. I feel like, too, if you want me to say, like, his worst movie, I would say Planet of the Apes by Tim Burton. That movie is Tim Burton's, like, worst movie, I think. And it's also Mark Wahlberg's worst movie. Next up is Simon Liu. He's one where I haven't seen anything he's in, but he really just seems like the token Asian actor who just is on Twitter all the time and just fulfills any agenda that needs to be fulfilled. You know, he's going to be in the new Barbie movie with Margot Robbie, which is complete embarrassment of a film. And I despise him. You know, there's lots of good Asian actors out there. Lots of them. Lots and lots and lots of them. The whole cast of Parasite, really, really good actors. You know, Jet Li, Jackie Chan, Donnie Yen. You know, I can't, you know, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Fucking the main two people in that. But Simon Liu is just the worst. He's just the most... He's like the Wonder Bread of Asians. Next up is Zendaya. Zendaya is a model, not an actress. But they push her, and, you know, she's in all this stuff now, and it feels like, just let her be a model. Just let her be a model. Let her date Tom Holland. They deserve each other for being so trash. And then just let it be that. Don't pretend like she's a great actress and that she's the next coming of Streep or something. Like, don't do that. Because she's a good model. I guess she's a good influencer. Although I think the influencers are garbage people for the most part. It's just a thing of, stay in your lane, honestly. That's another problem with Hollywood now, is that people don't know how to stay in their lane. That's why a lot of people, a lot of audience members, one of the most common questions that actors get asked now is, what did you come up with? What were the lines that you suggested in that movie? What were the things that you put in that movie? As if writers aren't the ones who write lines. People are so, tricked into thinking that actors are writers now. They think that actors have as much power as writers and that they come up with all the lines. And so there was a really good interview with the people who made The Big Lebowski where they asked them that, and they said nothing. We didn't come up with anything. The writers did. And it's like, yeah, the writers, the people who write the scripts and the lines, that's how movies are made. People have really lost track of how movies are made. For real. Next up is Harry Styles. I haven't seen anything he's in, but he is a girly boy, and that's for damn sure. And not in a good way, like with the guy from American Horror Story, where he played Liz in season 5, and he did a fantastic job. But in a bad way, where I just feel like there's nowadays the type, Timothy Chalamet, but he's actually pretty good, so I won't put him on this list. But nowadays it seems like there's this new type of actor, and it is girly boy, female man, emasculated male lead. Harry Styles is the definition of female man, emasculated lead. And it's women really like that because they feel like they're in control, and they feel like they have the advantage over them and they can dominate them, because women nowadays, they want to be like men. And so these girly boys, they provide that. It's this really artificial thing, because you know that Harry Styles is fucking, he's probably, I'm not going to say anything, but let's just say it's a delusion. It's fake. It's role play, and it's queer. Because if they had, and this is the double standard too, if they had actresses nowadays who acted really, really hyper young, masculine, the opposite, there would be all these complaints. There would be all these boycotts, riots. But when it's for guys, it's okay. It's pretty much a cliche now that every black actor at some point gets in a dress. And it's they're purposefully emasculating the young actors in Hollywood so that we can have this artificial delusion, this fantasy that they can be dominated by their young female fans. Next up is Awkwafina. You know, I just saw her in Renfield, and she was atrocious. She was obnoxious the whole movie. She had no chemistry with the main character. She was terrible and unfunny, and she was the worst part of the movie. Last but not least is Tom Holland. Tom Holland is the epitome of girly boy actor. He can do some acting, like he is capable of acting, but Hollywood just wants to put him in these terrible roles where he's like a little boy. And it's kind of embarrassing sometimes because they put him in these movies and these roles where you wonder, why did they put him there? And the biggest example is Uncharted. Tom Holland should not have played Nathan Drake. That is probably, I would say, it is one of the top 10 worst casting choices in movie history. Why did they do it? Because the dipshits at Sony just said, like, oh, he's popular. Pull the names out of the hat. You know, that's who we pulled. We pulled Tom Holland. Maybe next movie we'll get a man to be in the lead role. So, that is this video. It probably sounded really mean the whole time, but I don't care. I mean, if I went on and on about, like, specifics, about specific, like, acting, like, you know, nitty-gritty details of scenes and examples, it'd be a really boring video. It'd probably be like 10 hours long. You know, can I even give an example? I will give you an example. One example. Oh, I forgot one. Rosie O'Donnell. Oh! She is the worst. She is so annoying and obnoxious. Her voice is annoying and obnoxious. She is the worst thing in anything she's in. She ruined the Flintstones movie. Yeah. So now for that example, let's just talk about Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg always sounds like this. And now, he probably knows it, so why does he keep doing it? In fact, let's find a line from Pain and Gain. Because Pain and Gain just cements the fact that he's trash. Let's find it. Pain and Gain. Quotes. Mark Wahlberg. Okay, here we go. Here we go. You ready, guys? Ready for Mark Wahlberg to make a cameo on Sofia and Marco Dish Out on Movies? Let's see. What's the best one? Ooh. My name is Daniel Lugo, and I believe in fitness. All this began because it was time to push myself harder. Otherwise, I was looking at another 40 years wearing sweatpants to work. Sometimes, God just fucks up your order, and you gotta chow down on some shitty shame sandwich. Okay, you know what? That sounded too much like Michael Jackson. I gotta pull back. I'm hot. I'm big. There you go. I don't just want everything you have. Why do I sound like Michael Jackson? Damn it. Okay, let's just pretend it's Michael Jackson. I don't want everything you have. I want you not to have it. And to be fair, Michael Jackson is a better actor than Mark Wahlberg. Or he was a better actor anyway. So anyways, please like this video, comment, Tell me what you think about it. Do you agree? Do you have any other actors to add? Feel free. And then please subscribe to our channel if you'd like to see more honest videos like this. Goodbye, everybody. See you soon.